Good afternoon. My name is Frank Barnes, and I'm the Chief Equity Officer for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. As we prepared starting back in March for the beginning of this school year, 2020-21, we began our preparations considering three different possible public health scenarios. One was where the pandemic had been contained, the virus had been contained. A second where the virus had been slowed and the curve was flattening. And a third where we had a recurrence of the pandemic. As we began those efforts in earnest, we always knew that regardless of the public health scenario, there would be some families that we have the privilege to serve which just wouldn't feel comfortable sending their children to school under any circumstances. It was at that time we began to consider and begin developing a remote learning academy. I want to introduce my colleague, Ms. Kim King, our Director of Virtual Learning and Media Services. She's co-led the efforts to launch this academy, and I want to hand things over to her so you can learn about more about what the Remote Learning Academy offers and entails.
So first of all, to give you an idea of what the full remote academy looks like, we want to make it clear that this academy will be fully aligned to our district remote learning plan, which has been looking at how to take our curriculum, instructional delivery, and assessment of that curriculum between modalities so that that is delivered smoothly, whether in person, in a hybrid model, or remotely. So we will align fully to what the rest of the district is doing with that plan. Our full remote academy will also align completely with the elementary, middle, and high school instructional guidelines for this year. So students in the full remote academy will get the same content and amount of learning minutes as everybody else. And then students will remain assigned to their currently designated school with the possibility of some cross-enrollment within grades K-8 where it might be needed. And Dr. Barnes will explain that a little more in an upcoming slide. The full remote academy will be taught by teachers who are assigned and dedicated specifically to that model. So this isn't something that will happen after the rest of the workday. Those teachers will be fully committed to this program. It will be available to all students. So we are working closely with our EC, our ESL, and our TD departments in order to ensure that students will be able to be provided with the resources and supports to meet all of their needs. And families are able to exit the academy or enter the academy mid-year at the end of the semester. So you'll be able to opt in the upcoming registration window. And then if you choose to leave in December when the semester ends, you will have the opportunity to do that. Instruction in this model is set up to be 30 to 40% synchronous and 60 to 70% asynchronous. Now let me tell you what that actually means. So looking here on the right side of this slide, this is a description of asynchronous learning. So asynchronous learning means you're not doing it together with peers and a teacher. That's done individually, and so that can be done at a pace and timing that works for the family. That can be during normal school hours, or it can be at the end of the day. This will consist of explicit instruction. So the beautiful part of this is your child will have a teacher walking them through here's explicitly what you do. Let's practice this together. And then if your child needs additional exposure to that before they're able to tackle it independently, they could watch that as many times as they need to. So students really have complete ownership and control over their explicit learning, which is phenomenal. The asynchronous time will also consist of lots, we hope, of independent reading. The synchronous instruction, which will make up 30 to 40% of the day, is instruction that happens together with a teacher and peers. So that is live instruction through a conferencing model that happens together. So during that, there will be reading and math instructional time that is dedicated to interaction, reflection, lots of speaking and interacting about the learning that they did asynchronously. So this is where students can share their ahas or their struggles, and teachers can address misconceptions, and they can interact to strengthen their learning that occurred asynchronously. We also will have a lot of synchronous time dedicated to that classroom culture, those peer relationships and time for interaction. A lot of time dedicated to social emotional learning. Time for a read aloud. The pieces on the screen that you see in the blue circles show synchronous time, but instead of being synchronous with the teacher and the whole group, the blue circles show what would be synchronous with the teacher and a small group, or maybe even an individual teacher and individual child. So there will be small group math instruction, small group literacy instruction, small group interventions, EC services, ESL services, and all of these would be based on exactly what your child needs. The high school model looks a little bit different because there are so many more courses offered at a high school level. So at the top of the screen, you'll see that we have Canvas remote learning courses and shells. So these courses and shells are being built by academic specialists and master teachers and will be taught by CMS teachers. For any courses that are not available in Canvas courses and shells, we have access to Edgenuity courseware. So CMS teachers would teach the course using the content provided by Edgenuity. So these two options will make up the bulk of the high school remote learning offerings. Additionally, for courses that students require that are not provided with those two options, we have a couple of other options. First, we have access to North Carolina Virtual Public School and Edgenuity IS. And in those cases, both the content and the teacher would be provided by those programs. So there is an additional cost for the district there. And that has been used historically in CMS when there's a course that we aren't able to provide, and that will continue to be provided in this way. And then additionally, there's an option for high schoolers to receive credit by demonstrated mastery. So with that model, if a student has expertise or independent learning in an area, they are able to work with their counselor to apply for credit, and receiving credit would be dependent on a test and then some completion of work that demonstrates mastery in that area. And again, their counselor would walk them through that process.
So, how is the academy staffed? As Ms. King indicated, there'll be teachers dedicated exclusively for the full remote academy in grades K through 8. In the high school grades, a teacher may have a section that is in-person teaching and a section of a course that would be part of the academy. But nevertheless, as we think about how the staffing is allocated and what the class sizes look like, much of it's going to be based on how many students at a particular school register for the full remote academy option. In this example that you see on the slide, if you said had 120 students at an elementary school register, you'd have about 6 teachers. And that's how we'd be trying to think about it, to keep class sizes reasonably small, so there could be that still intimate interaction with students, and each of the students had follow-up with each of their teachers. If we had a school that had a relatively low number of registrants, what we would do is we'd work with the school staff to help make sure there was a teacher that might teach students from multiple schools. But we want to encourage you and reassure you that if there's a small number of students, or families, I should say, who register for this option for their students, you'll still have this option available to you. Additionally, our offices of virtual learning and media services are working actively with our EC office to make sure that if you need exceptional student services, or if a student needs ESL services, or if your student is talent development eligible and they need TD services, that each of those 3 types of options would be available in the academy, just as it is in your in-person classes. So with all that we've told you about, how does a family register for the academy? Well, the registration window will begin on Friday, July 17th, and it will go through Sunday, July 26th. It can be done right on our CMS website. And if you go to the website any day after the 17th, there'll be links leading you right to the registration page. It's about 10 questions, and you'll be able to finish in no time. We'll be telling people about the registration process and where to find it through our social media sites, working with our local media outlets, and working in tandem with our community partners. And we want to let you know that regardless of whether our school district is in Plan A, Plan B, or Plan C, which is designated by the governor, the academy option will always be available regardless of plan. And so even as we open up the school year now, we want to encourage you to register during the registration window, because that will be the best opportunity for you to take advantage of this for your family if you choose to. But we do want to be clear, if we have students who have not yet enrolled in CMS, they should enroll first and then register. So let me give you an overview of our timeline. Once again, the registration window opens on July 17th and will close on July 26th. We realize that both this presentation and the website with frequently asked questions answered may not be enough information for you. So on July 23rd, we're going to have a town hall virtual meeting for community questions about the academy. So you can get a real-time response to your real-time questions to inform your decision. And we want to also let you know that if we have students who enroll in CMS after the window closes, we'll have a rolling registration for newly enrolled students. But for our currently enrolled students, the window will be July 17th through July 26th. So with that, we want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to serve you. And we wish you to have a great 2020-21 school year, regardless of the circumstances. It's a privilege to serve you. Thank you and have a good rest of your day.